Welcome to the podcast. This morning, there's been something that's been weighing on my mind for quite some time. I wanted to just speak authentically to people who listen to this podcast. So, most of you know that I spent 30 years of my career advocating for people with disabilities, and I worked for a complex wheelchair company. I led payer relations and government affairs, did that for 30 years with the same company. It was my life's mission. It was authentic work, meaningful work, and I loved what I did. I would sometimes forget I was even making a paycheck because I just loved what I did. Um, so during this time, I was taking a course, and it was how to develop a keynote. And the reason that, and how to tell your story. And the reason I did that was because I felt so blessed, and I felt like I should take what I've learned and what I've done throughout my career and help other people. That was the only reason that I was thinking about doing it. And then I almost felt bad because I was thinking, why should I do this? Because there's no real reason for it. I'm not doing it to make money. I'm not doing it. I was just doing it to help others. And I was really busy and I really didn't have the time. But my daughter encouraged me, hey, mom, just do something for fun once in your life. So I did. I was taking this course, I was developing my story, and I developed a keynote. And during this time, this was back in January of 2022, I actually lost my job. So the company eliminated my job after 30 years, and I felt completely lost. I was sad, I was hurt, angry, just really didn't know what I was going to do. And during this time, I'm literally putting this presentation together to say, how do you find your purpose and passion? How do you overcome barriers and live a life of purpose and passion? And so I thought, how ironic, because how am I going to tell this story now that I'm not living my purpose and passion? And so it really was hard. It was hard to get through. And so I really struggled for a while. And I took some time off. I was actually under a non-compete, and I really couldn't go work for anyone else in the industry. And I really just didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I reached out to a lot of different people and got a lot of good advice. And a lot of people just told me to do a couple of things. First of all, just think about, what you really want to do in your life. And also, pick name like two or three things, maybe five things that you're really proud of that you've done in your career. Because I think when you lose your job, that sometimes you think, what the heck did I do for 30 years? But I thought, okay, and I wrote the things down that I was really proud of that I did. And it gave me the confidence to go out there and, seek another job and think about what else I wanted to do. And I also took a lot of time off because I had been traveling. It was just a grind. It takes a village to do what the people in the complex rehab technology world do, advocate for people with disabilities. And so, I took some time off. I threw a shower for my daughter. I became a grandma. I threw a party for my son who was graduating college. And I just really, for once in my life, enjoyed my life. And so I think about this. I think about other people who have lost a job or feel lonely, or because here's the other thing that happens. When you lose your job, the people that surround you are people who, that you might have known for many, many years. And all of a sudden, all those people that you've been around are no longer there. Now, you hear from some people. It's really interesting because you hear some people, it surprises you. The people that you think that you'll hear from, you might not hear from. The people that you thought you would never hear from just, give you, send you or call you, send you a text, things like that. And so, it, first of all, I just want to say that if you're going through this, it's tough. And I guess the reason that, I wanted to get on here and talk was because I really wanted to help tell my story, be my authentic self. That's why I started this podcast. So one day I decided to finish this podcast or finish my keynote. And I started speaking to young people. There was this young CEO entrepreneur group. There were a bunch of college kids that you could go speak and you tell your story. And it was just in hopes that, by me telling my story of how I grew up and not coming from money and, not finishing, taking only a couple years of college, and not getting my degree, overcoming insecurities, living my purpose and passion, how I wanted to go tell that story. And so I did. And it was, really, it felt really great. It was almost empowering because I was taking myself down this journey of all the things I did in my career. And I knew that I was making a difference and I did help a lot of people. And so that was just something that I was sharing with them. And after that, I went down to meet with a guy named Todd Locks, and he has a podcast, he and his brother Ross, that's called Eat, Slay, Live. And I had been watching their podcast and I thought they are having so much fun with this. And I was almost a little, jealous because I was like, I should start a podcast. Like this would be fun. And I thought I want to do it because I didn't do a lot of things that I enjoy in my life. I don't have a lot of hobbies. My hobby was working. So I thought, how do I keep doing the things that I'm passionate about? And maybe that's a podcast. I don't know. The things that I'm passionate about were certainly continuing to advocate for people with disabilities. I wanted to help young people grow their career. I love singer-songwriters from Nashville who, they write the songs, they tell their stories behind the songs. And then I also wanted to share my faith. And so I kept thinking about this. And Todd had asked me to be on their podcast. And so after I spoke that day, I went down and I did speak on their podcast. And I was really just telling my story. And it was really scary to be so vulnerable and share, my insecurities as well as all the things that I did to grow my career. And so during that podcast, Todd had said, Melissa's thinking about doing her own podcast. And he said something like, Melissa, if you don't do this, basically the people with disabilities they're not going to get what they need. So he kind of like shamed me into it. And, it's scary to think about like getting on camera, literally just being your authentic self and sharing your most vulnerable moments. And I was really scared to do that. I didn't know that I wanted to do that. But my daughter encouraged me and my son said, Mom, you've been talking about this for like 2 years. Like just do it or shut up about it. And so I said, okay, I'm just going to take little bitty baby steps. Right. And so I did. I started, I thought about the vision that I had for what would this podcast be about? And this wasn't about me. And that's why I also struggled with that because I didn't want this to be about me. And I didn't really want to be on camera, and, put myself on social media. So I really was praying about it a lot. And so that's when I started thinking about, what's the why? The why is that I want people to get the visibility that they deserve. And so there are a lot of people that are doing really cool things in this world that they don't get the visibility that they deserve. And so I just thought it would be really cool to interview people who have changed my life, who are making a difference in this world. And so, I thought about Sarah Hardwick. She is blind. She's a singer in Nashville, singer-songwriter. And I just was blown away by her. And I sent her a text and she, the next day agreed to do it. There was Dayton Weber, who has no arms and no legs, and he's a cornhole champion. And I saw him on Instagram after my daughter sent me a text, and I texted him and he said, yeah, I'll do it, like literally the next day. And so, I have all these different stories of just people who have touched my life in some way, or I think that they really deserve the visibility. And so that's why I did it. So why do I continue to do it? Um, well, I can tell you that there have been moments where, I could probably do this as a full-time job, except for that it doesn't really pay. I mean, I'm sure there's all kinds of different ways that you can monetize your podcast, but I also have a full-time job, so I don't have the time to do it all the time. But the reason I continue to move forward is because I pray about it all the time. If this is something that is just about me, that I don't want to do this. But I've been praying about it, and I do believe that there's a reason that I'm, sharing my story and helping others, and that there's a reason God put me down this path. I think about the sermon that the pastor Josh, I attended First Baptist Church in Bethalto, and I had been going to Lifebrook Church, which I love Lifebrook Church, and we lost our pastor. Pastor Stephen Marcy left to move to Maine, and my daughter and son-in-law and a lot of people go to First Baptist, so I thought, we'd go there. And I really enjoyed the messages from Pastor Josh, and he had said this past Sunday, well, maybe it was 2 Sundays ago, is to share your story with others in hopes that it's helping someone out there. And so for me, I'm sharing this story right now of like, people ask, why is she doing a podcast? Maybe the reason I'm sharing it is nothing more than wanting to really be my authentic self, share my faith, help others. And I think that when we are being our authentic self, we're being the best version of ourselves. When we're living according to our values and what's important and what honors God, then that's where we need to be. And I'm just going to be honest, I've really been struggling with like, what am I supposed to be doing? Um, you know, how am I supposed to be making a difference in the lives of others? And that can be really challenging. So you might be looking at me, and if you do know me, you know that I am an extrovert. I am, I love connecting with people. I love networking. I love developing relationships. I'm very driven. I'm competitive. I love advocating for the underdog. And so, I have a new job, and I'm doing my job, and and I'm helping people get the ventilators that they need, and so, there's that. But I also always feel like I can do more. And so that's where I've really been struggling. Once you've done something that you feel is mission driven, and I did for 30 years, it's hard to figure out like, what is your purpose? What is your passion? And so I think about, there are times when, for instance, Andy has been gone for 10 days to SWAT school. He's doing what he loves to do. He's a police officer. He's, he volunteered for SWAT and tried out for the SWAT team, and he's doing that. He loves to cycle. He loves to go hunting. He has so many different passions and hobbies, and he could have fun doing anything. I'm not made that way. And I think that, Pastor Josh also mentioned sometimes that, you know, he went to his daughter's soccer game, and he was looking around, and he was trying to find people that he could share God's word with. And he said, he wasn't even enjoying the soccer game, to be quite frankly, to be honest. And he said, that I was just wanting to, I was looking at everybody who needs to hear this. And, and nobody nothing came to him. And he said, that's just not, I should have just been enjoying the soccer game maybe, but that's not how I'm made. And I think that really resonated with me, because I think that when we try and be somebody else, like I'm thinking, why can't I just be comfortable, just, living my best life? I don't really need, more money necessarily. I don't need to, I have a job. I don't need to be doing other things necessarily. Like, why can't I just relax? Like, why can't I just sit back and, hang out at the pool, or on the weekends, just go shopping, do whatever I want? But like, I don't know. That's not how God made me. So the reason I'm telling you all this is that I feel like, first off, Lately, I have had moments of loneliness. Um, and that's not to say that I'm unhappy. I just think that I've been lonely. Andy's been gone. The people that I had worked with before I don't work with. I do a lot via, I work from home. And so I do a lot of emails back and forth. So I don't really see a lot of people every day. Um, and I don't really hang out with my girlfriends because I'm busy. I'm working, I'm doing a podcast. And so I think about, like, if I feel like this, um, how do other people feel? Because I am an extrovert. Have a podcast. I, love networking. I reach out to people from all over the country. And I have friends all over the country. Like, I don't necessarily hang out with certain people in my hometown. And so I think, I went to this cornhole tournament a couple weekends ago, and it was for Team Jakey. And his uncle, this was a guy, really good looking guy that had his whole life together. And at one moment, I guess he had a moment where, he wondered about the meaning of his life, and he took his life. He committed suicide, and his family and his friends, like, literally all got together, and they put this cornhole tournament together, and they have it every year, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it's in St. Louis. And his uncle got up there and talked. And this guy literally brought me to tears. I didn't even know Jake, or Jakey, as they call him. Didn't even know the guy. It was my brother-in-law, who it's his family that this guy was a part of. But I went, and it brought me to tears because he got up there and he's talking about his nephew, and he says, here's the date of his birth and here's the date of his death. But neither of those dates really matter. It's the dash in the middle. And that resonated with me too. It's like, what are we doing with the time that we have here on earth? And this guy's life did mean something, you know? And I think about, he was so lonely. He was so, like, I don't know, maybe he wasn't lonely. I don't know what his reason was, but I think about people are dealing with things every single day, and we don't know what those are. And what are we doing to help other people? How are we making a difference? How are we showing up to help others? How are we sharing God's word? I think about, like, that's the one thing that I hold on to is my faith. And sometimes it's even tough to believe in something that you can't see. I really struggle with that because I'm a visual person. But what I've done and what I do, and I keep thinking about, like, I've got this platform that I could talk to so many more people than I am, is that I read this Bible verse. I have a verse every single day that I read. And then I just started doing this, is like, I took a picture of it and I started sharing it with my just a couple friends. And, well, first it was family, and then it was like, okay, I'm going to share it with a couple friends. And then, okay, I'm going to share it with this lady that I just met that works at a health plan in Ohio. I started sharing the Bible verse with her. And then sometimes I share it with this young girl that was kind of dealing with some issues. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to add in one more person to that list. And so all of a sudden, like, every single morning, I get up, I take a picture of that. I think, I pray about it, I read it, and then I send it out to all these different people. And I have been thinking about this for a long time, is like, well, what am I doing to have a bigger platform to share this message with other people? And I'm not an expert on sharing, and talking about my faith or sharing God's word. I'm seriously, like, I haven't read all of the Bible. I don't know all the answers. And I think that's why they're afraid to share, what they do know or how God has showed up in their life. But he has showed up in my life. And if it wasn't for God, I don't even know where I would be today. Every good thing that has happened in my life is because of him. So I would just say, today, if you are struggling with something today, reach out to somebody else. Let them know that you care about them. Let them know that you're thinking about them, and ask them what you can do today to pray, whether it's pray for them, do a little kind thing for them, But I just want to encourage other people to network, reach out to other people, let them know that you do care, because sometimes it's just one little word. People just want to hear that their life means something, that they matter. Um, and I've stopped this video like literally probably 6 times right now because, it's because I'm getting a little teary eyed and I'm being super vulnerable right now. Um, but the world needs more authentic human beings. What we see on social media, Facebook, Instagram, all of whatever, it's not all real. And so, I know I'm a little all over the place with this, but I want people to know why I started this podcast, why I'm taking more steps to keep going. I don't know where this is going. Hopefully by me sharing my story, I'm going to help somebody, or me sharing other people's story, it's helping somebody else. So I just want to encourage you today, be kind to people. You never know what they're going through. Everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has been a jerk to people before. But I just encourage everybody to, help other people and encourage other people. And if you liked what you're hearing this morning and what I'm sharing, send me a message in the comments. Let me know that what I'm saying matters. And I just appreciate everyone who does listen to my podcast and is encouraging me along the way. It's been fun. I'm learning something new. I'm challenging myself to feel more like me through this podcast. So I'm going to end it there, but have a great day. And again, thanks for listening.